We begin tonight with new details in the tragic stabbing death of a Houston nursing student. Police say the 23-year-old British woman was killed by her roommate last weekend. It happened inside an apartment on Gopher Street. That's near Cullen and Yellowstone Boulevard on Houston's south side. Our Orko Manna joins us from the Harris County Jail tonight with the latest from investigators. Orko?
It's been 1 week since this deadly stabbing, and while Houston police are still investigating, homicide detectives tell me that this all stemmed from an argument between the suspect and the victim about their cats. I'm also told the British nursing student would have graduated this weekend.
Is nursing school actually hard to get into? This is a question I get in my DMs all the time. Is it hard to get into nursing school? And the answer is, I don't know. Basically, every cycle is different. Every cycle of students that apply is different. I'm about to graduate and I really wish I had this during nursing school because it definitely would have helped. You know how like books always have so much information? This is not one of those. This has what you need. This is the guide that I wanted so bad, but she had sold out and I was unable to get it.
On April 26, 2025, friends of Elizabeth got very worried when she stopped answering calls and messages. They contacted the police, who went to check on her at her Houston apartment. Police arrived at Gopher Street around 3:50 p.m. that Saturday. They knocked on the door of Unit 6507, but no one answered. As officers looked around, they spotted something that made their hearts sink. Blood on the back patio. The officers immediately entered the apartment. Inside the kitchen, they found 23-year-old Tami on the floor with multiple stab wounds. She was already dead. In a bedroom, police found another person, Chester Lamar Grant, Tami's 40-year-old roommate. He was hurt with at least one stab wound but still alive. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital. The tragedy struck at the worst possible time. Tami, a British student with 50,000 TikTok followers, was just days away from graduating as a nurse. Her TikTok account, Tami Dollars, showed a happy young woman excited about her future at Texas Woman's University. Tami had moved from London to America to follow her dream of becoming a nurse. She had always had the dream of making life so much refreshing for her family. She earlier made a video of the kind of life her parents had, the life they gave her, and the life she intends to give them. Now that dream was gone forever. And do you know what's most shocking? Tami died because of an argument about a cat. How could such a disagreement lead to stabbing someone 28 times? As we explore this heartbreaking case, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. What makes someone commit such a brutal act over something so small? The answer is scary. Ride with me. Welcome to Crazy Dark Files, where we shed light on the darkest true crime stories to help raise awareness and promote safety. By liking this video, sharing, and subscribing to this channel, you're helping raise awareness, spread caution, and maybe even save someone else from the same fate. Don't just scroll past. Be the reason someone stays safe.
It's a quiet Saturday at this apartment on Goforth Street on Houston's south side, but just a week earlier on the afternoon of April 26th, Houston police say it was a bloody murder scene. HPD finding a 23-year-old woman in one of the units lying on the kitchen floor with multiple stab wounds. Homicide detectives identifying her as Elizabeth Tamalor Odunsi. Police say she was from England but was in nursing school here in Houston, set to graduate this weekend. Detectives telling me Odunsi's roommate, 40-year-old Chester Grant, stabbed her to death after the two got into an argument a few days earlier about the cats that they both kept in the unit. The conflict reportedly snowballed and led to the violent encounter. I'm told the two were relatively new roommates for about 2 months. Detectives say Grant tried to take his own life, stabbing himself around 6 times, including in the side of the neck. After a few days in the hospital, Grant appeared in probable cause court Saturday morning, now charged with murder.
Elizabeth Tamalor Odunsi, known to everyone as Tami, was born and raised in London, England. From an early age, she showed a caring nature that eventually led her toward nursing. Friends described her as someone who always put others first, with a smile that could light up any room she entered. Tami's dream of becoming a nurse took her across the ocean to Texas. She enrolled at Texas Woman's University, one of the top nursing schools in the state. There, she quickly became known for her dedication to her studies and her positive attitude. Classmates remember how she would stay late to help others understand difficult concepts. Never too busy to lend a hand. She was the kind of person who made you feel important, said one of her nursing school friends. Even when she was stressed about exams, she would check in on everyone else first. In her free time, Tami built a significant following on TikTok, under the username Tami Dollars. Her 50,000 followers tuned in to watch her share glimpses of her life as an international nursing student. Her videos ranged from study tips and nursing school experiences to fashion hauls and dance challenges. She had a natural way of connecting with viewers, making them feel like they were talking to a friend. One of her most popular video series showed her journey through nursing school, highlighting both the challenges and rewards. "Nursing isn't easy," she said in one video that received thousands of likes, but helping people when they need it most makes everything worth it. Her TikTok wasn't just about gaining followers. It became a way for her to inspire others. Many comments on her videos came from people saying she had motivated them to pursue nursing or to keep going when their studies got tough. Tami always took time to respond, especially to those who shared their own nursing school struggles. Tami's sister Georgina, who remained in London, stayed close with her despite the distance. They video called almost daily, with Tami excitedly sharing updates about her classes and life in Texas. "Tami was a beautiful soul, full of light, ambition, and kindness," Georgina told reporters after her sister's death. "She moved to America to follow her dream, and she was making it happen through hard work and determination. That determination had paid off." At the time of her death, Tami was just days away from graduating from Texas Woman's University with her nursing degree. She had already passed her exams and completed all her clinical hours. Her graduation cap and gown hung in her closet, never to be worn. Her professors at the university spoke highly of her academic performance and bedside manner during clinical rotations. "Tami had that special quality that makes an exceptional nurse," said one nursing instructor. "She could connect with patients instantly and make them feel safe and cared for." Tami had already received several job offers from hospitals in the Houston area. She planned to work for a year in the United States before possibly returning to London to be closer to her family. She told friends she wanted to gain experience in the American healthcare system, which she believed would make her a better nurse wherever she practiced. Her apartment was filled with nursing textbooks, study notes, and a calendar with her graduation date circled in red marker. She had invited friends and family to the ceremony, including her parents and sister, who had booked flights from London to Houston to see her walk across the stage. No one could have imagined that instead of attending her graduation, they would be planning her funeral. The bright future that Tami had worked so hard for was cut short in an act of violence that shocked everyone who knew her. On Saturday, April 26, 2025, neighbors went about their weekend routines, unaware of the tragedy unfolding in Unit 6507. By mid-afternoon, several of Tami's friends had grown concerned. They had plans to meet her for lunch, but she never showed up. This was unusual for Tami, who was known for being reliable and responsive. When calls to her phone went straight to voicemail and text messages remained unread for hours, worry turned to alarm. "It wasn't like her at all," said Maya, one of Tami's closest friends in Houston. "She always answered her phone, especially on weekends. When she didn't respond to any of us for over 5 hours, we knew something was wrong." Maya called the Houston Police Department to request a welfare check. She explained that no one had heard from Tami since the previous evening, which was completely out of character. Officers arrived at the Goforth Street apartment complex. They knocked on the door of Unit 6507 several times. They announced themselves as police, but received no response. Looking through the front windows, they could see lights on inside, but no movement. Following standard procedure, the officers walked around the building to check other possible entrances. It was at the back of the apartment that Officer Chen noticed something alarming. What appeared to be blood smeared on the concrete patio and small droplets leading toward the sliding glass door. "We observed what looked like blood on the back patio," they stated in their report. Based on this observation, we determined there was probable cause to enter the residence to check on the welfare of the occupants. The officers called for backup before making entry through the sliding door, which was unlocked. The apartment was eerily quiet as they entered, announcing their presence once more. They moved carefully through the living room, which showed no signs of struggle. When they reached the kitchen, they discovered a scene that even these experienced officers found disturbing. Elizabeth Tami Odunsi lay on the floor near the refrigerator. She was wearing pajama shorts and a t-shirt. Multiple stab wounds were visible on her chest, neck, and arms. A large kitchen knife lay on the floor about 3 feet from her body. They quickly requested for emergency medical services. The officers continued to clear the apartment, concerned that the perpetrator might still be inside. When they entered the main bedroom, they found a second victim, a man later identified as Chester Lamar Grant, Tami's 40-year-old roommate. Unlike Tami, Grant was still alive, though barely conscious. He had at least one stab wound and was losing blood. Paramedics arrived within minutes. They confirmed what the officers already suspected. Tami had been dead for several hours. Grant, however, was still clinging to life. Paramedics stabilized him at the scene before rushing him to Memorial Hermann Hospital in critical condition. As Grant was being loaded into the ambulance, more police units arrived, including detectives from the Homicide Division. They immediately began securing the scene and documenting evidence. The kitchen showed signs of a violent struggle. There was blood spatter on the refrigerator, countertops, and floor. Several items had been knocked over, including a chair that was lying on its side. In the living room, detectives found Tami's phone on the coffee table. Her last text message had been sent at 9:43 p.m. the night before to a friend, saying she was having a quiet night at home. What happened in the hours after that text would become the focus of the investigation. As news crews gathered outside the apartment complex, neighbors expressed shock. Many knew Tami from passing her in the hallways or seeing her leave for class in her nursing scrubs. "She was always so friendly," said one neighbor who lived across the hall. "She would bring cookies to everyone during the holidays. I can't believe this happened to her." By nightfall, the apartment had been transformed into a crime scene, with investigators meticulously collecting evidence that would help them piece together Tami's final hours. As paramedics rushed Chester Lamar Grant to Memorial Hermann Hospital, detectives began their methodical investigation of the crime scene. Grant's condition was critical. He had lost a significant amount of blood from a deep stab wound to his lower abdomen. Doctors immediately took him into surgery upon arrival. Detectives tried to understand the relationship between Tami and Grant. "We learned they weren't romantically involved," detectives explained. Grant had moved into the apartment just 2 months earlier after responding to Tami's online advertisement for a roommate. She needed help with rent while finishing nursing school. Friends of Tami told investigators that she had mentioned some minor tensions with her new roommate, but nothing that seemed serious. "She said he was quiet and kept to himself mostly," Maya told detectives. "She never mentioned feeling unsafe around him." The crime scene told a different story. Blood evidence suggested the attack began in the kitchen and continued into other rooms. Forensic technicians collected fingerprints, blood samples, and other trace evidence throughout the apartment. They paid special attention to the kitchen knife found near Tami's body, which appeared to be the murder weapon. The pattern of blood spatter indicated a frenzied attack. The victim had defensive wounds on her hands and arms, showing she fought back against her attacker. While Grant is still recovering under police guard, detectives built their case. They obtained warrants for electronic devices found in the apartment, including both Tami's and Grant's phones and laptops. Text messages between the roommates revealed increasing tension in the days before the murder. One message from Tami to Grant, sent 3 days before her death, read, "Your cat keeps getting into my room and scratching my things. Please keep your door closed when you're not home." Grant's reply showed irritation. "My cat lives here too. Maybe you should close your door if you don't want her in there." Several witnesses from the apartment complex provided crucial information. One neighbor reported hearing a loud argument from Unit 6507 around 10 p.m. on April 25th, the night before Tami was found. "I heard a woman yelling something about a cat, and then a man shouting back," the neighbor told police. "It got quiet after that, so I thought they had resolved whatever they were fighting about." As Grant's condition stabilized in the hospital, detectives interviewed him. He claimed to have no memory of the incident, stating that he and Tami had argued, but that he had gone to bed afterward. He could not explain his own stab wound or how Tami had been killed. His story didn't add up. The physical evidence contradicted his version of events at every turn. On May 2, 2025, after 6 days of gathering evidence and consulting with the district attorney's office, police formally arrested Chester Lamar Grant on charges of first-degree murder. He was taken into custody directly from his hospital bed as he was being discharged. At his arraignment the following day, prosecutors laid out their theory of the case. They alleged that Grant had become enraged during an argument with Tami about his cat, grabbed a kitchen knife, and stabbed her multiple times. They suggested his own wound was either self-inflicted in an attempt to create a cover story or occurred during the struggle with Tami. The judge set Grant's bond at $500,000, citing the violent nature of the crime and the strength of the evidence against him. Grant was unable to post bond and was transferred to the Harris County Jail to await trial. During the preliminary hearing, the prosecutor emphasized the seemingly trivial nature of the dispute that led to Tami's death. This promising young woman, days away from graduating nursing school, lost her life because of an argument over a cat, the prosecutor told the court. Mr. Grant's inability to control his anger resulted in a senseless tragedy. What do you think about roommate safety after hearing this story? Share your thoughts below. News of Tami's murder spread quickly through Houston's tight-knit nursing community and across social media platforms where she had been so active. Her TikTok page, once filled with upbeat nursing school content, became a digital memorial as followers left thousands of comments expressing shock and grief. "I never met you, but your videos helped me get through my first year of nursing school," wrote one follower. "I can't believe you're gone." Within 24 hours of the news breaking, Tami's friends in Houston created a GoFundMe campaign to help her family bring her body back to London. The costs of international transportation, funeral arrangements, and legal expenses were overwhelming for the Odunsi family, who were now facing not only emotional devastation, but also significant financial burden. The response was immediate and overwhelming. The campaign's initial goal of £15,000 was reached within the first day. By the end of the week, donations had surpassed £65,000, with contributions coming from nursing students, healthcare professionals, TikTok followers, and strangers touched by Tami's story. "We are completely overwhelmed by the generosity shown by so many people," Georgina Odunsi wrote in an update on the GoFundMe page. Tami would have been amazed to see how many lives she touched. Georgina and her parents arrived in Houston 3 days after Tami's death. They had originally booked their flights to attend her graduation ceremony. Instead, they found themselves meeting with detectives, identifying her body, and collecting her belongings from the apartment where she died. In a statement released through their attorney, the Odunsi family expressed their profound grief. Her beautiful daughter and sister, Elizabeth Tamilore Odunsi, known to many as Tami, was a bright light in this world. She crossed an ocean to pursue her dream of becoming a nurse, dedicating herself to caring for others. She was just days away from achieving that dream when her life was so cruelly taken from her. Tami was a beautiful soul, full of light, ambition, and kindness. The world has lost someone truly special. Texas Woman's University held a memorial service on what would have been Tami's graduation day. Hundreds of students, faculty members, and healthcare professionals from local hospitals attended. Her empty chair in the graduation ceremony was marked with a white nursing cap and a single rose. The apartment complex where Tami lived became an impromptu memorial site. Neighbors, friends, and even strangers left flowers, candles, nursing pins, and handwritten notes at the entrance to Building 65. Security guards at the complex reported that people continued to visit the arena for days after her death. Tami's nursing cohort, who had studied alongside her for years, were particularly devastated. Many sought counseling to process their grief. Several of her classmates spoke to local news outlets about the impact Tami had on their lives. "She was the one who kept us all going when classes got tough," said Jennifer, who had been Tami's study partner. "She would bring snacks to our all-night study sessions and make us laugh when we were stressed about exams. I don't know how we're supposed to start our nursing careers without her." The hospital where Tami had completed her final clinical rotation also felt the loss deeply. Nurses who had mentored her wore black ribbons on their scrubs in the weeks following her death. One of them said she would have been an exceptional nurse. She had that rare combination of technical skill and genuine compassion. Patients loved her, even during her short time with us as a student. In Houston, the district attorney's office promised the Odunsi family that they would pursue justice for Tami with every resource available. Prosecutors began preparing for what they expected to be a high-profile trial. Meanwhile, Tami's TikTok videos continued to receive views and comments. Her final video, posted just 2 days before her death, showed her excitedly talking about her upcoming graduation and thanking her followers for supporting her journey. In the video, she wrote, 23 years old, BSN graduate in 2 weeks, vacation booked, summer is 14 days away, starting to look human again. That video had now been viewed over 5 million times, becoming a painful reminder of a bright future cut tragically short. The tragic death of Tami highlights several important safety considerations, particularly for those living with roommates or in shared housing arrangements. While no one could have predicted the violent outcome of what began as a minor disagreement, there are lessons to be learned from this case. Roommate arrangements have become increasingly common due to rising housing costs, especially in urban areas and near university campuses. For international students like Tami, finding affordable housing often means living with people they don't know well. This reality comes with inherent risks that many don't consider until it's too late. Background checks aren't standard practice for private roommate arrangements. Most people rely on brief meetings or social media profiles to make decisions about who they'll live with. In Tami's case, she had known Chester Grant for only 2 months before the fatal incident. Friends reported that she had found him through an online advertisement when she needed help with rent while finishing nursing school. This common scenario, finding roommates through informal channels, offers little security screening. The welfare check that led to the discovery of Tami's body demonstrates the importance of this police service. When friends couldn't reach her, their decision to request a welfare check likely prevented Grant from covering up the crime or fleeing. Welfare checks are an underutilized safety resource. Many people don't realize they can request this service when they're concerned about someone's well-being. There's no charge, and it could potentially save a life. For international students like Tami, additional challenges exist. Being far from family and familiar support systems can increase vulnerability. Many universities offer resources specifically designed for international students, though these often focus on academic and visa issues rather than personal safety. International students should be aware of all campus resources available to them. This includes counseling services, legal aid, and emergency housing options if they ever feel unsafe in their living situation. Several practical safety measures emerge from examining this case. First, when considering potential roommates, take time to verify their identity and background as much as possible. Ask for references from previous roommates or landlords. Trust your instincts during initial meetings. Second, establish clear boundaries and house rules early in the roommate relationship. Written agreements about shared spaces, guests, pets, and conflict resolution can prevent misunderstandings from escalating. Third, maintain regular contact with friends and family. Tami's friends noticed her absence quickly because she was reliably responsive to messages. This consistent communication pattern meant that when she didn't respond, they knew something was wrong. Fourth, be aware of escalating tensions. Text messages recovered from Tami's phone showed increasing friction between her and Grant in the days before her death. Recognizing when disagreements are intensifying can provide an opportunity to seek mediation or alternative living arrangements. Finally, know the emergency resources available in your area. For students, this includes campus security, residential advisors, and student affairs offices. For everyone, it includes local police non-emergency numbers, crisis hotlines, and community support service. The Houston Police Department has since partnered with local universities to develop safety workshops specifically addressing roommate selection and conflict resolution. These workshops, partly inspired by Tami's case, aim to provide practical guidance for students living away from home. While no safety measure can guarantee protection from unpredictable violence, awareness and preparation can reduce risks and potentially prevent similar tragedies in the future. The murder of Elizabeth Tami stands as a stark reminder of how quickly ordinary conflicts can escalate to tragedy. What began as a disagreement over a cat ended with a promising young nursing student dead just days before her graduation. The case shocked both the Houston community and Tami's followers across social media, who had watched her document her journey through nursing school with enthusiasm and optimism. The facts of the case remain straightforward yet devastating. On April 26, 2025, police discovered Tami's body in her apartment after friends requested a welfare check when she failed to respond to calls and messages. She had been stabbed multiple times. Her roommate of 2 months, Chester Lamar Grant, was found wounded in another room and subsequently charged with her murder. Grant's arrest on May 2, 2025 brought some measure of justice, though nothing could restore the bright future that was lost.
Grant is being held here at the jail on a $500,000 bond. He's expected to be back in court on Monday. Meanwhile, Houston police are still looking for surveillance video and doing witness interviews as they continue their investigation.
With bond set at $500,000, he remains in custody awaiting trial. Prosecutors have expressed confidence in their case, citing physical evidence from the scene. and text messages documenting the growing tension between the roommates. For Tami's family, who traveled from London to attend what should have been her graduation ceremony, the pain continues. The community response, raising over £65,000 sterling to help return her body to the UK, offered financial support but could not ease their grief. As this case moves through the legal system, it serves as a somber reminder of the importance of safety considerations in shared living situations, particularly for international students far from home. If you found this case important to know about, please consider subscribing and sharing this video. What other safety precautions do you think are important for students living away from home?